Okay, where do I begin? It was August 2022. I got unwelcome text message from the CEO of the company on a Sunday afternoon, which is never a good thing. This was coming after a big board meeting that we had, and so I knew the news was probably not good. So after that message, came back upstairs and it really set in and told everybody I was laid off. Like most people, when you're laid off from your job, the first reaction that you probably have is shock. And I was completely shocked. I spent 6 years at this company in the ed tech industry, and we saw tremendous success over those 6 years. Even during the pandemic, we rode the online education wave that happened during that time when people were coming indoors and going online to learn new skills. Even after that period, when people went back outside and started to use our platform and many others a lot less, things were still okay. And then it wasn't until 2022 when the tech industry started to struggle that things started to get really hard and big changes were made. And so I was part of a big restructuring at that time. I went through all stages of grief. I was shocked initially and then frustrated and angry, but then slowly accepted it because the honest truth was I was burnt out. I spent 6 years in a growth role in a startup, coming in every single day, putting my entire mind space towards growing this company. And after 6 years, it's grueling and it takes its toll. And I needed a break. I was burnt out and I needed time to reset and do my own thing. This was just the kick in the butt that I needed. I spent years dreaming about being an entrepreneur, starting my own thing. And I just stopped and started for years and continued to play it safe and work for these startups and big corporations that provided a lot of security and gave me a steady salary and allowed me to grow my career and have a nice life. But it was the safe path. It was not the risky path by any means. I knew this was the time for me to finally take that leap and invest in myself. So that's what I did. I took a few weeks off. I gave myself the space to explore, and my wife and I agreed to basically take 6 months to figure it out. So I spent the next month soul searching, and from that started to explore a few different paths. I knew becoming an entrepreneur and starting from scratch was incredibly difficult. I had experience growing businesses. I knew how to do that. And so the first path I went down was trying to buy a small online business. I almost bought a van life business, and I was going to be a content creator for a van life business, but I might still do that at some point in my career. I explored kelp farming. I learned all about the kelp industry, and so I looked into becoming a kelp farmer. Decided against becoming a kelp farmer because of how hard it is, because I lived in Switzerland, and that is not near any significant body of water where there's kelp. I was extremely passionate for years and years about financial independence and retiring early. And so I finally had this time that I could invest in this company. I started a personal finance blog, all centered around financial independence. I built online calculators, did the SEO thing to try to grow the business, had some success there. I even created my own financial independence masterclass. I spent months building and creating a course for people to help them achieve financial independence. And then I launched it. I used all the lessons I learned in the startup space to really try to bring this thing to life. And I launched it in January, the busy season for people getting started with their finances. And it flopped. Everything I did for that launch failed. I sold one course, and that was a letdown. That was another ego blow. In retrospect, I was starting in a brand new industry. I was trying to build a name for myself. I was trying to build awareness and trust in a space that requires a ton of awareness and trust. And so that was a big learning for me. But that was months of my kind of runway. March came along. That's when the rubber had to meet the road, and I had to start making some income. I was spending a ton of time with my family, with my young kids. I was feeling great again. My life felt balanced. I was putting some work into something I was really interested and passionate about. It just wasn't making any money, which again, it's completely normal. There's a stat out there that it takes creators 18 months to make any money from their online business. And so I luckily got a text from a friend, from one of my old buddies at my old company, that said, hey, I just talked to Dan Scott, huge creator that had a ton of success building a huge online business, helping people learn design. And he was looking for marketing help. But at the time, I was so burnt out from marketing. I spent close to a decade in marketing at that time and was tired of the startup game. And I just didn't want to do marketing. But Dan's an awesome guy. He's super charismatic, and I always wanted to meet him. So I was like, fine, I'll take the call. Took the call. Call went great. I was excited. He needed marketing help. I knew his business inside and out because I spent years working in that industry. I could provide him some marketing strategies that could help. So I built him a growth strategy and I stuck around to help him implement it. And it worked. The company was growing again. Things were getting better. Dan was excited. I was excited. I was feeling alive again because I could actually bring the experience that I had and the skills that I had to someone that was doing great work, that had awesome people working for him. I was having so much fun again. And so even though I swore off marketing, I found a way to apply my skills and my experience in a way that was rewarding, that was invigorating. And so I now was the sudden owner of an agency. I hated agencies. No part of me wanted to own a consultancy or an agency, but now I suddenly saw this opportunity to take this weird, funky niche knowledge I had in the online ed tech space and apply it to creators. Then a cold inbound lead from a creator on LinkedIn. I pitched them a service. That worked. They bought it. They were excited. I started working with them. Then a referral. I pitched that person, closed them. They were excited. I was excited because I was helping them drive impact for their businesses. At the same time, I was building my own business. And so that was the first big learning that I had, that it didn't matter what business I started. I just wanted to start a business. I just wanted to figure out how to grow a business. And I was getting the opportunity to do that. And it was working. I had a product and experience and a service that resonated with a community that needed it. They needed help. The ed tech industry was struggling at the time, and creators were looking for ways to grow again post the pandemic. And so at the time, my wife and I agreed at that 6-month mark, I had to make some money. We calculated what we called the gap number. That was the number between how much income we had coming in through her job and how much income I needed to cover for that next year to actually cover our expenses. And the number was something like $3,600 a month. And luckily, I hit that number month 1, and then month 2. And then month 3, then I was off to the races. So month 7, I hit 6 figures, which just blew my mind. It was crazy. It was crazy. I had this legit business that I was trying to grow. And then month 10 hits. I surpassed the highest monthly salary that I ever had in my career. Month 13, I doubled it. So now I'm having the most fun that I've ever had in my career. I'm working with these creators that I'm inspired by every day, and I'm doing it on my own terms. I get to control when I work, how fast I grow, how little I grow, depending on what's going on with my life. It's incredibly rewarding. It's an unbelievable experience that I never thought would have turned out the way it's turned out, honestly. And so here are the 4 things that I learned during that time period that if I started over today, I wish I knew. Number 1, take the leap. Bet on yourself and just start. You have no idea where the path is going to take you. Like I said, I thought when I started my personal finance business, that was going to be the thing. I was going to spend the next decade of my career becoming a personal finance expert and guru and building an online business around that. I never would have imagined myself starting an agency, and now I'm so excited by that fact. So you have no idea where it's going to go. Just try something. Just take that first step and start it. And invest in yourself, because the honest truth is, no one's going to be looking out for you more than you. Companies can pay you great salaries and great benefits and reward you with opportunities and ways to grow your career. But at the end of the day, if those companies are struggling, you might be on the chopping block, just like I was. And so you need to really think about investing in yourself and taking that leap and giving yourself the shot to actually build the life and the career that excites you and lights you up. Number 2, is a pragmatic one, but one that I hear friends and creators and people in my network struggle with time and time again, which is I can't take the leap because of the money. I need to work for 2 more years to do X, Y, Z. So know your number, know the gap number, the same thing that I calculated. How much money do you have saved up? How much money do you need to live a life that keeps the lights on, etc., for a period while you try to invest in yourself, bet on yourself, start that thing that you always wanted to do? And I think understanding the numbers will make it that much easier and will give you the kind of comfort and peace knowing that, hey, I can cover 3 months of living while I'm figuring this out. And it'll allow you to feel a little more free when you do take that jump. Number 3, always take the call. Always take the call. I don't know how many times I was sitting there as I was struggling to grow this personal finance thing, and I would get people reaching out to me wanting to talk about influencer marketing or wanting to talk about growth in the startup world. And I was always, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm so burnt out. I wanted to be as far away from that industry as possible. And so those calls were always tough, but for the most part, I always took them. And again, I almost didn't take that call with Dan. And that would have been the biggest mistake of my career, because now it's led to this. And I never would have thought that from that initial text message from my friend. So always take the call. You have no idea where it's going to take you. You have no idea where your path's going to go. And you never know who in your network is going to give you that connection you need to that dream opportunity. And lastly, operate in your zone of genius. I'm so impressed and so inspired by the people that start a whole new career as a creator, a painter, an artist after being in the corporate world. That's amazing. And I'm in awe of those people. But sometimes the easier path, or sometimes the path to that destination, might be working in your zone of genius for a bit. And so operate in your zone of genius. What strengths, what skills do you have that people are looking for? Again, I never wanted to do marketing long-term. I wanted to get away from it, but it wasn't until I realized that was a skill I had that people just kept coming back to me time and time again. And it was adding a lot of value to this industry. And so it made complete sense for me to invest in it. And then I realized marketing is not the thing that's going to excite me and light me up. It's having the ability to grow a business, to build a business from scratch, having the ability to work with creators and help them grow. And so I figured out that my why was really helping people grow businesses and build a life that they are excited by and doing work that they love and that inspires them. That is the thing that lights me up. It doesn't matter that it's marketing. And it helps tremendously that the marketing is my zone of genius. And so that is what I would recommend for people, is when they're making this leap, maybe operate in your zone of genius. Maybe it's not the thing that you're going to do forever. I don't think I'm going to be running this agency for the rest of my career, but I know that it's going to be the thing I build now. And it's going to be where I'm spending my time now and working with these creators. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 or 10 years, but that's okay. Looking back now of where I was 2 years ago, I never would have expected this is where I would be sitting. So take the leap, start that next thing, and bet on yourself, because you have no idea where it's going to take you.